Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into my horse training session videos. This one's a little bit different. I wanted to get on here and tell you a little bit about myself and what my goals are with my YouTube channel. So a little bit about me. I got my first horse when I was in middle school. I was lucky enough that my parents were able to afford a horse for me to ride and show in 4-H and local shows and barrel race with him. And I'm self-taught, and I don't claim to be a public trainer. I don't make money off of training or take in any client horses or anything. I just train my personal horses because I enjoy it. And this year I got a new job, so I was able to start my broodmare herd. So this year I actually own 6 horses. Excited to see how that goes. And with the horse that I'm focusing on for my session, Kitten's Choice, I actually bought her to be a broodmare in my herd, and she didn't take this year, so I decided to work on all of her groundwork and restart her from the ground up into a riding horse. And I haven't picked a discipline for her yet, but I've decided that I wanted to document her training sessions in hopes that it could help somebody else with any problems they're having with their horses. And documenting her training shows people that they can work with horses that do have a slight problem with them. Kitten's Choice Kitty, her only problem is that she is blind in her left eye. So that's more of a recent injury, so she wasn't born blind. She has been injured within the last year, and when I got her just a couple months ago, she had minimal sight out of that eye. We were treating it for an infection, but the eye is a total loss. She is completely blind. I don't think she can see any shadows, so that is something she's gonna have to overcome in our trainings and learn that just because she can't see on that side of her body, that things aren't as scary and we can work through them. So I'm very excited to take on this task, and I'm super excited to document it and share it with everybody. So with how hot it's going to be here in Kentucky lately, I'm not able to work the horses in the daylight, and I have work in the mornings. So I've got some things in the works to set up some lights around my round pen so I can work of the evenings. And it was a little bit hard to try to record videos and then voice over for that first video after the fact. So I got a microphone, which I'm hoping will help while I'm working with them. I can explain what I'm doing with Kitty or any other horses in future videos. So I'm hoping that that's going to help with the videos and explaining the whole thought process behind what we're trying to teach Kitty. And I'm hoping the lights will help. We can work of the evenings, it'll be cooler. And then got in a new training stick, so I'm very excited to use that and see how it differs from a traditional flag and how it helps with her. So we've got a lot of things in the works for these training videos, and I'm super excited for everyone to follow along with all the steps that I personally would put into a horse before their first ride. And then as we transition through all that, I'm going to be recording her riding and under saddle videos. So I'm hoping to have a pretty extensive library of training videos on the YouTube channel for people to watch before Kitty is rehomed, and hoping to kind of get this up and running on TikTok and do some social media work. It's another passion of mine. So this is all brand new, and I hope that you are looking forward to and stick with watching our training session videos. And if you have any questions or you want some type of work to be discussed or problems you want me to try to answer with some videos and how I would go about working out a problem or an issue with a horse, I'd love to hear them. So we're going to be covering some topics like that, as well as Kitty's training sessions. So it's a hot one today, and me and Kitty are back for session number 2, and we're going to discuss learning to give to pressure with a neck rope, which in this case I'm going to be using a lasso for our neck rope. It's pretty hot, so we're having to do this in the evening, but We're going to keep our session short, end on a good note if possible, and hopefully all goes well and she can teach you something to do with your horse. So I've got my horse and I'm just going to walk her around here. I've got my lasso and just going to make some noise with it because a lasso's stiffer than a regular rope, so it's going to make a little bit of a different sound. And see, she's pretty nervous at it, so we'll just give her some rein. Whoa. We'll ask her to stop. She's not listening here, so we're going to make her stop. Whoa. And she's coming in because she's curious. Good girl. We're going to touch that rope because we just used it to stop her, but we're not mad at her. We just want her to relax. See, she's already relaxed, licking and chewing there, releasing some of that pressure that we just put on her. Not because we wanted to put the pressure on her, but because she wasn't paying any attention to us. So now that she's calm and listening, we're going to make some more sounds here. Ask her to step up. Touch her with it. We've got our hand. We're watching our horse's movements, watching that body language. She's paying attention. Oh. Now we're going to do her blind side so she can't see this left side. So I'm going to go ahead and grab her up closer here to her head and make sure she's all right with this. Got hold of her halter just barely. Touching her all over. She's fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our lasso. She's paying attention. I've got my hole on my lasso here. I'm going to slip this over her head. And we can start with leaving the halter on because we don't want to just go to putting a lot of pressure on her neck and jerking her around, but she's not worried about it. She's still got plenty of slack. We're not hurting her. So we'll leave her halter on for the time being. So we've got our halter, we've got our lasso, in two hands here. So what I'm going to do, because I want to send her off on the side she can see me, I'm going to get here. My sending hand is going to hold her halter lead rope. My left hand, which is going to be my guidance hand to send her forward, has got the lasso. So what we're going to do is we're going to point and click and send her off on a circle. At the end of my lead rope, I've got some slack in my lasso. I'm going to send her off there. And what I'm going to do while she's sending, I'm going to put a little bit of a tension on the neck rope and just give her a little pop. Just a little barely pressure there so she can kind of tilt that nose into me, not from the halter rope, but from the neck rope. She's already getting it. She's grasping the concept. I've got my shoulder to her. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on her. I'm wanting her to tip the nose in and the back legs out. I click. I'm going to send her forward. She's doing a great job with this already. Good girl, kitty. And then we're going to ask her to whoa, whoa. And she's not good at it yet, but put a little more pressure on the neck rope and whoa. She stopped. She licks. She chews. She's calm. We pat her on the head. Good girl. Good girl. And now we're going to switch directions. So we're going to switch hands on which hand our rope's in. Point, because she can't see me. I'm going to have to get a little bit in that space here to send her off. There you go. Good. And now I'm at the end of my lead rope. I've still got a little pressure here on my lasso. There we go. She came in with her nose. I'm just barely putting some pressure on that neck rope. I'd rather her lead line be slack. There we go. Good girl. She gave to that neck pressure. I don't know if you could see it when she's facing the other way here, but she gave to it when I put a little bit more pressure on the lasso around her neck and she stopped. She turned in and she stopped. So to solidify this, we're going to, easy girl. We're going to do one more direction the other way. Hey, hey. Out of the space. There you go. We've got slack on that lead rope.
She's moving off. There, put a tiny pressure. So my neck rope's actually not as tense as it may look and taut. It is still pretty loose. I'm the one putting that neck pressure there, so I'm barely, I did that, I made her stop, but I'm barely putting a little pop to it to turn her in. Look at that, she's getting it. I want her to do this motion right here. I want her to bend that nose in and bring the back legs out. And woo. Good. So she just grasped this whole concept pretty quickly. So now what I'm going to do, because I know my horse, and I know she's already responding to this neck rope, I'm going to take her halter off. Around. She's doing a pretty good job. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have the rest of our lasso in our sending hand. Oh, she got it spun around here. We want the hondo of the lasso at the bottom of her neck, the base of her jaw. We're going to keep our straight part of the lasso that's going to be directing her with, like we were with the halter, in our pointing sending hand. The rest is going to be in our off hand. So for this, I'm actually going to hold the rope upper hand instead of lower hand. So I've got a little more pressure on it. Good girl. And we don't want running. We want a trot. See, I gave her a little tug there. She tipped her nose in. She's paying attention. Now she's not. Now we're going to tug. Tug and send. There we go. Tug and send. Good. Tug and send. And now she's got her nose in. She's alert. She's got taking that, disengaging that hip. And there we go. And now we're going to ask for a woo. We're going to release all that pressure. So drop your slack in your line. I'm going to wrap it up one so she can walk in and there's not the risk of her stepping over the lasso. The lasso is what we don't want them to step on. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on her neck. We do not want her to do that. Good girl. She came in. She's calm. A little sweaty, so we're not going to keep our session long here. And what we're going to do, we're going to send her the other way now. So you got our pointer hand. With her, I've got to make a little noise on my leg with my rope. And just a nice trot. And there she goes. She's paying attention. She didn't there, so she got a little bit tighter of a rope on her neck, but now she's paying attention. Good girl. Easy. We can talk to her. She's still moving around nicely, still tipping that nose in and that butt out. We want her to yield those hindquarters away from us while giving to the pressure on her neck. Woo. And she stops very nicely. Woo. Good. And she licks and chews. So now that we've grasped that and we remove that butt, we've still got a hold of her here. So what we're going to do is walk to the hip. And she crossed this back closest leg over to me. She crossed it over in front of the back. She yielded that hindquarter. That's what we're building up to. She can't see me on this side, so it's a little bit tougher for her. There she did. Release. And pet her. Atta girl. And it's pretty hot, so we're going to end our session on that note, which is very positive. I'm going to end that right there. Proud of her. She remained calm. She did a great job. Thank you for watching our second session. And we will be back with our third one, and we're going to be working on yielding the hindquarters and moving off the front end away from our pressure for the first half of our session. In the second half, we'll be introducing the Western saddle pad, getting her used to having that on her back. And if she's still doing pretty good, we may introduce the saddle. So stay tuned for session 3.